Thank you for introducing me so kindly, Patrick, just then and also on the chat. I'll give some brief context about my background and throw in maybe some damning admissions instead of a full bio. I'm the founder of Advendo AI and the Coco Samoa and a Web3 project called Mighty Matters. And I'm the author of a couple of books, one of them being The Modern Marketing Guide for Entrepreneurs and a new one that's coming out called Exponential Business. Over the past 24 years, I've been deep in the trenches of marketing and advertising, earning a reputation for creativity and driving real business growth. Through the application of next-gen technologies, I've typically been able to double and triple revenues of businesses while providing go-to-market strategies for, well, some of the biggest companies in the world. But here's a fact that you probably didn't know about me. I once quit my business. I know that's not supposed to be done. We all like the hero entrepreneur that stays in, sticks it out, but I did once quit. Back in the day, I was on the verge of turning a $500,000 client, one of our clients, into a $9 million global deal. I was burning the midnight oil, hiring team members and negotiating contracts. And you can imagine the kind of contracts this involved. I mean, pages and pages and pages, and then you make a change that goes back, they make a change, they don't tell you what they changed, and you got to go back and you got to read the whole thing. And just as I thought I was at the finish line, in fact, they signed the deal, but then reneged. And it became a question of who can afford to spend the most for lawyers for the most amount of time. And quite frankly, it was them. So I felt defeated, completely burned out, and with little to show for my efforts. And my health took a major hit. And then my personal life started taking a major hit. And I thought, this is not worth it. At the same time, a company named SAS approached me. You've probably never heard of SAS. They're the largest privately owned tech company in the world. And they're behind the scenes providing AI and analytics to like 90% of the Fortune 500 companies in the world. And they offered me this regional role of like chief evangelist, if you will. And it was a chance to kind of shape their AI marketing products. So I decided to step back from the business and let my team take over. So I implemented technology and processes and models to keep the company running. Surprisingly, it actually grew without me. So that was a bit of an embarrassing and painful realization that maybe I was the blockage. And however, I took those powerful lessons and the potential of technology, especially AI, and I implemented it in other businesses as well. Since that time, I've been leveraging AI, and I've built 2 more businesses that are fully automated. And so when I talk about AI, basically why I'm telling you my life story is just know that it's not about hype or shiny new objects. It actually comes from a place of hard-earned experience, from like guts and from glory. So there's that. Before we dive into the meat of the presentation and what I want to get through today, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. I should warn you, as you can probably tell, I tend to talk a little fast. My accent is a quirky mix of American and Australian. So if everyone is okay with that, and also if I come across like I'm a showman, it's because I am. It's just years of being in advertising. So just bear with me. If you're okay with that, just let me know. Drop a thumbs up or something in the chat and we'll get straight in. So guys, obviously there's a sea of tools out there related to AI. And if you sign up to any newsletter about AI or any of the courses that's out there, everyone's a chat engineer or something like that. There's so many tools. And plus, having worked in the field for the past 5 years, I've seen a lot. But I'm going to skip the deep technical jargon, and I've given myself 3 rules for this presentation today to make sure that it's making the most of your time coming to a masterclass about AI for SME. The first rule is understanding why we need to use AI. So it's the why. I'll spend a little bit of time on that because I think it's important to get on the same page. And then I will focus on real life impacts of the tools that I've been using and my clients have been using, and actual case studies. So those are the 3 rules that I've given myself. Obviously, when it comes to AI, there's so much argument and discussion that could be had philosophically, politically, scientifically. There's so much we can say, but this isn't about that. What I do want to do is I want to let ex-Google officer Mo Gaudat explain where we are at in the life cycle of AI right now today. So I'll play this.
This will redefine the world. This is imminent. We're talking 2025, 2026. The quicker we respond proactively and at least intelligently to that, the better we will all be positioned.
I mean, they're already, smarter than 99.99% of the population.
100%.
ChatGPT-4 knows more than any human on planet Earth. Creativity is like taking a few things that I know and combining them in new and interesting ways.
Yeah.
And ChatGPT is perfectly capable of like taking
100%.
two concepts, merging them together.
The algorithm of creativity. I normally do a 40 days silent retreat in summer. Okay. I could take that retreat and write 2 books, me and ChatGPT, right? I have most of the ideas in mind, but writing takes time. I could simply give the 50 tips that I wrote about digital detoxing to ChatGPT and say, write 2 pages about each of them, edit the pages and have a book out. But there is still a place for an artist expression of something amazing.
I remember this story of a friend of mine that came to my office many years ago, and he tells the story of the CEO of a record store standing above the floor and saying, people will always come to my store because people love music. But they don't love traveling for an hour in the rain and getting in a car to get a plastic disc.
Correct.
What they wanted was music.
So you're spot on. You are spot on. If I told you you cannot take your car somewhere, but there is an Uber, or if you cannot take an Uber, you can take the tube, or if you cannot take the tube, you have to walk. Okay, you can take a bike or you have to walk. The bike is a cure to walking. It's as simple as that.
Do you think it could take the place of human connection?
For some of us, yes. For some of us, they will prefer that to human connection.
Is that sad in any way?
I mean,
is it just sad because it feels sad?
Look at where we are, Stephen. We are in the city of London. We've replaced nature with the walls and the tubes and the undergrounds and the overgrounds and the cars and the noise of London. And we now think of this as natural. It's an inevitable that we will engage them in our life more and more.
So the key call-outs here, it's inevitable. We cannot stop this for lots of reasons. And actually, if you watch the original video, he goes into depth about why you cannot stop it because of the competitive landscape, countries, and their own values, etc. But also that we're talking about imminent change, not an iterative change. We're talking about imminent wholesale change. And I would say even as quickly as the next 6 months, we're going to see a very different landscape. Just the speed of the evolution of tools is uncanny. So let's explore, why does this chat matter? All right, so in 2023, many SMEs are feeling outdated, burdened with repetitive tasks, and overwhelmed with AI. But there's a different narrative. What if we get to be a part of shaping the future and embrace that? What if we rediscover our priorities because we're able to lift the burden of grunt work off ourselves? And what about if we are privileged to be able to lead our people into new frontiers? So I guess if we're going to be talking about that, then we really need to ask ourselves, what is the actual business goal of using AI? What are we actually trying to achieve? Now, there is no chance in hell I'm reading this slide, but we could dive deeply into data capture interactions, real-time streaming, customer retention models, real-time streaming. We could jump into that, but in reality, we're actually aiming to improve these 4 areas typically: HR, service, customer service, marketing, or sales. Make sense? So the goal then is not just to become better with AI. The goal is to actually become exponentially better. And that means increasing exponentially the positive factors in our business like sales, awareness, engagement, while decreasing the negatives like churn, time wastage, and process burden. So the question is, how do we actually reach this level of exponential growth? So after speaking to CMOs of the biggest brands, founders of SMEs, and even some of the leaders in Silicon Valley, I've found that we achieve exponential growth by focusing on 3 things: profitability, more people in our database, audience, and brand presence in market. By leveraging AI, we can boost our profit margins and reach more people and amplify our brand presence. And we achieve this through these 3 key pillars. This is the summary of what I've gathered and learned in the last however many years, 5 years. The first is we can use augmentation, AI augmentation, augmenting our assets, our ideas, creativity, our images. Then we can use amplification of advertising, our sales processes, amplification of branding. And we can also leverage automation. Automation is not a new thing, but AI automation is not historical, it's predictive. So and we can get into that. In fact, I could unpack this for hours. Like there's a lot in this, but obviously we don't have the time today. Okay, so let's first talk about automation. Chatbots are not new. We've been talking about chatbots for years. The difference between today's version of chatbots and yesterday's version of chatbot is that the old school ways, we needed to predict what kind of conversations we were going to have with customers. And then we have to program these clunky flows so that people can click buttons to navigate their way through a conversation. Obviously, that died quietly in the night because nobody wants to do that and it doesn't work. And then you end up having really awkward conversations with your customers, like what you see in the yellow box on the left-hand side, where a customer asks for something, it's out of the ordinary, the chatbot doesn't understand the context, gives an off-the-shelf answer. The human says, no, that's not what I'm talking about. And the chatbot says, check the policy. Like, it just doesn't know. Compare that to modern day chatbots today with AI, and it can understand context. It can understand history. It can understand your emotion and sentiment and respond accordingly. That's the green box. There are various ways to implement chatbots in using AI. Without getting too much into the detail, there's large language models, and there's another thing called zero-shot learning. Zero-shot learning is the ability for the AI to basically ingest all at once all of your documentation, policies, etc., and without any further training, be able to speak about it. That's different to language models who require training, etc., and can also give scary answers because it's a bit of a black box. So we're not really sure all the time what it's going to come back with. Okay, so Go Rewards is in the Philippines, and they use zero-shot learning chatbots, and they literally just copy and paste all of the information and data on their website, policies, internal and external, dump it in, literally copy paste, and the chatbot will automatically break it up and understand context and be able to answer just like you see here on the right-hand side, which meant that their CSAT score in the last 6 to 7 months has increased by 74%, 75%. This is another client of mine. This is Jason Mars, who's a Silicon Valley guy. He's created chatbots for the banks in America. So it's called Clink, sold it, exited. He also created this product called Zero Shot Bot, as the name implies. And you can use it for HR as well. Why that's great is because HR typically has a whole bunch of policy documents that you can, just never get through, really. Instead, you can copy paste the whole thing, hundreds of pages, dump it into zero-shot bot or another language model, and instantly have somebody who can field awkward questions for you. Jason asked me to create a demo training video for his sales team so that they know how to run demos. And I just want to quickly play this so you see how it actually looks on the front end. Now, remember, we've literally just copied and pasted a policy document. No training, no coding, no implementation or setup whatsoever.
A thought about next week. We're catching a flight next week to go and do conduct an exit interview with another employee in our Melbourne office. So let's type this into the bot and see what it says. Now, I've got a very awkward question. Can I book it on business class travel? So we type this in. Instant chatbot. What this means is you can avoid the need for months of expensive and time-intensive artificial intelligence research and development.
So just the call out here is that when we're talking about chatbots, we aren't necessarily always talking about ChatGPT, although that's what it would seem like based on what we read on the internet. There are products out there, Zero Shot Bot is one of them, that allows instant accessibility to AI for customers. And if you feel like it's a little bit scary to do it externally, you can do it internally. That's the point. All right. And then we're talking about automating sales process. The right-hand side is a blueprint that I use for B2B clients. We have a version of this for e-commerce clients. It's like a best practice. The little white boxes are emails. So you can see there's a very logical flow. When a prospect comes in, either they subscribe to the newsletter, they visited the website, filled out a quiz, used the calculator. This is a mortgage broking client of mine. So this is the example that I'm using, hence the calculator. They will get an email, it'll wait a little while, get the next email. Look at the welcome flow. It's using behavioral triggers like the benefits, hesitations, addresses hesitations, social proof, urgency. It doesn't talk about products, features. It uses behavioral science, which is what a salesperson would do. A good salesperson, at least. And it's all designed to get a specific business outcome. In this case, it's booking a meeting, which is a one-to-one consultation. After the meeting, there's also more follow-up. So you can see that it just, and when somebody replies to the email sequence, it just stops. So HubSpot does this, Klaviyo does this. Klaviyo, not so much for the stopping when somebody replies, but there's a way to do it using segmentation. Okay, so this is automation. This is nothing new, right? So why is it in an AI conversation? Because now with AI, you can actually predict customer lifetime value within your CRM, depending on the tool that you're using. So these kinds of automations can be based on segments that are not based on historical data, but actually on predictive data. That's a big topic. But essentially, you could say, find me the highest spenders that are likely to do a repeat purchase or are likely to do an upgrade or a renewal in the next 30 days. It'll put it together and you can start an automation process predictively. Does that make sense? Moving on to amplify. So amplification is, when you think amplification, you straight away think of ads. I won't spend too much time here because you can get into the nuts and bolts of advertising and digital marketing, and I'm not going to do that. The new news that you need to know is that this whole idea of privacy has kicked Facebook and Google into the new level. In fact, it's actually given them the excuse to let their AI run free because they're like, well, we're not allowed to give advertisers and brands the ability to target specific traits about people anymore because of privacy settings and blah, blah, blah. So instead, we're going to keep it all in our black box. You tell us what you need, like a sale or a lead or download or traffic or whatever, and we'll let the AI figure out how to do it. You don't even need to split separate campaigns anymore. Just dump it all into one bucket and it'll just work. Now, in the past, that has been complete bullshit. It hasn't worked. But now, both Google and Meta have gone next level. It actually works. It's actually better than any kind of targeting. So what does that mean? That means Google's new solution, Performance Max, you can put a whole bunch of images, texts, call to actions, promotions, whatever, and the AI will figure out who to send it to and when. There are some caveats, but basically it's all there. And it outperforms a lot of the time. Facebook, Advantage Plus Shopping, Advantage Tailored Plus, these are their new AI solutions that you leave it. The key is to leave it running for at least 30 days and you watch it get better and better. I will say even exponentially better. Now, I said a lot of the time. So what about the times that it doesn't work? Well, a process that we personally use internally, feel free to screenshot this and use this yourself, is we have this feedback loop where the team tries to use traditional marketing tactics or behavioral science to beat the AI. We'll run a campaign beside the AI and try to beat it, get better results. And if it works, if we do beat it, we give what we learned to the AI and we go again. This way, we're constantly training and making the AI better and better and better about what's working with this specific target audience. Does that make sense? This is an app that we're working on at the moment. It's the Mighty Metas project. It uses ChatGPT and other language models that we're just choosing between to make a choose your own adventure game. The difference is the game's never the same. We have no idea what kind of adventure people are going to go on. And the aim is to make young adults and kids read more. So we've engineered this prompt, and using this prompt, it can create an entire backstory of your character, lore, an adventure. It'll have real consequences on your actions will have real consequences on this imaginary world that exists in the head of ChatGPT, and you just go and explore. You can game over, you can die, you can win. But I'll give you just a snippet of what this prompt looks like on the right-hand side, right? So we give it a backstory, and then we give it context. And we tell ChatGPT, it's a massive prompt at the start, which will be hidden from the user. And then it starts. So the user will see in the interface, you wake up in a strange but somewhat familiar place, the smell of the damp earth and the sound of distant war drums filling your senses. We didn't tell it any of this. This is ChatGPT writing a story in real time. You glance down at your equipment. Each is a piece of a relic from a different age. It's a helmet, da-da-da-da-da. It tells you what it is. It gives a score on, like a power score for each piece of equipment, thereby making your specific journey today unique, which you can use and leverage in the story. And then it asks you, what do you want to do? Do you inspect your equipment further? Do you stand up and survey your surroundings? Do you try to recall how you got here, or something else? The something else is really magic, because you can use one of these options to play along, or you can tell it something completely different and progress the story. Like I did here, I wrote enter the arena, and it continues the story as though it was one of the options to begin with. If you tell it something completely outlandish, we've programmed the prompt to say, sorry, but that's not an option available to you right now. So I'm talking about gamification because I think we need to reimagine what we're actually doing in our business. This could be a great lead gen tool. It could be a whole new model that you're doing. I know that during the pandemic, makeup companies completely changed how they did their advertising by running online tutorials. And some of them even gamified makeup, which is really smart. So I just want to say this because it gives us the opportunity to kind of think in a different way, not just be single directional, but be interactive with our customer base.
And of course, Justin, it's completely personalized.
It's completely personalized. Literally no two stories are the same. Yeah, completely. This is my good friend Kayesh, who's part of the S21 group. He's in Bali, and him and I are working on this app called Lingo Questo. Now, the genius of this app is entirely Kayesh's. It's not mine. I just had a chance to be a part of this and design the UI with him and etc. What it is it allows you to talk with an AI and practice a language. So in the instance of business, this video that I'm about to show you is Kayesh, who's in his best English accent as he can muster, is practicing taking a reservation on the phone from an English speaker. So assume for the purpose of this that Kayesh doesn't actually speak English. He's learning, it's his second language, and he's trying his best. And he has this interaction.
Hello, we were in the neighbourhood and saw your place. There are 4 of us that want to eat dinner. Can you tell us more about your restaurant? Do you have seats available?
Hello, we're an Italian restaurant, and yes, we do have seats available. What time were you thinking?
Thank you for letting me know that your restaurant serves Italian cuisine. We're interested in having dinner tonight around 7 p.m. Do you have availability at that time? Also, my husband is a vegetarian. Can you tell me if there are any vegetarian options available on the menu?
We can customize any dish to be vegetarian, and I'm happy to confirm your reservation. We also have special promotions available. Can I interest you in those?
That's great to know that we can customize dishes to be vegetarian. And yes, I'm interested in hearing more about your special promotions. Can you please tell me what they are?
So at the beginning of this conversation, Kaj can actually choose whether he wants to deal with an angry customer, an upset customer, throw me a curveball, are they polite, and practice a range of scenarios in English. And this can live in WhatsApp. And this isn't something that is like, we're going to make it one day. This exists right now. This is a video recording of an actual conversation with an AI. How does it work? Well, it's using language models, obviously. It's using voice to text. It's using speech recognition. Those three things put together is a completely magical experience that is like, well, it's a new tool that is available right now that you could use. And you could build this yourself. Quite frankly, you could build this yourself. Amplification. I've already spoken about a little bit about augmentation, what that means. I shared a little while back about this tool that we're talking about, Pickstart. And instead of talking about the tool, I want to talk about the functionality. What you're able to do is you are now able to, even in Photoshop, to take your standard plain e-commerce images or, which have white backgrounds, and appropriately so, and turn them into lifestyle photography without needing to go and take lifestyle photography. And it's as simple as describing what you want it to be. This is, the reason why I chose this particular image is because I can tell a bit of a story about it, and it's more interesting and harder, actually. It's more difficult than just adding a marble benchtop to behind a bag. So I really wanted to show you this. So let's say I've got this image, right? So this image is, I'm talking to a bunch of CMOs at a dinner, and I want to use this image on my website, need some cleaning up. So I literally put a square around it. This is Photoshop, by the way. Tell it to change the color of my pants. There you go. I'm not happy with that. Not happy with that. Oh, maybe I am. Yep, I'll keep this one. Okay, cool. So then I'm like, there's this weird thing happening in front of the pants with the wine glasses. So I'm just going to tell it, please remove the wine glasses. By the way, guys, this is actually how quick it is. Great. So goodbye wine glasses. Now, I want to get rid of this big sign in the back. No longer work for SaaS. I shouldn't be using their signage. So I want to remove that from my website. Right. And it replaced it with two people, which look a bit freaky. But in any case, I don't